Yeah, we don't have to be super like professional, but I'll just.
Yeah, no, if I swear you can clip it out in post.
No, you can swear. You can essentially, nothing is really off limits, and if you want to use specific names and stuff, you're allowed.
Yeah, sure. Just like try to like maintain like coherence of caring about people who aren't in this conversation not having a say. So like if I shared like medical information, maybe don't say their name.
Right, but yeah, it's really just whatever's comfortable for you. So I'm gonna do a very brief overview of this, like why I started this. I already told you a bit before I started rolling. So so I called this the Friend Plus Friend podcast. I just needed something simple.
Yeah.
So because originally it was just me. My idea was me to start by interviewing friends, and I also had this sort of like idealistic view of friendships in the past. Like I used to think, I still sort of think this way. This thought that you can be friends with anyone. Like we're all capable of being friends with each other. It's not realistic at all.
I understand the idealism.
Yeah, but it's weird because I have a super idealistic version of myself, but then I have a super cynical version of myself as well that has dominated a lot of like the past several years. And it's tricky sometimes.
Yeah,
trying to find that balance.
The cynicism can really kill you, and if you go manic on the idealism, that's just as bad.
Yeah, because then you're not grounded.
Exactly, you want to be grounded. You're right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so it's all about getting grounded and centered. Thank you.
Yeah, this is episode 4 if you want to be official. So, this is usually the first question I ask the last three guests. It's very open-ended, it's a little corny, but who is Chris Duffy?
That's a funny question. Chris Duffy has not thought of that question. Chris Duffy doesn't exist.
Chris Duffy's just a concept.
Life is Chris Duffy's just a concept. It's just a concept in your head, bro. Take your clothes off and jump out the window. That's the truth. No, Chris Duffy tries to avoid labels mostly. So I think the thing they start with is like the trans identity, just because like that's the most recent breakthrough. I guess like breakthrough. It's not so dramatic, right? It's just like, but it's a shift. It's a new way of being. So trans, and also it's also an identity that isn't just like awful, like because Chris Duffy used to be a white upper class male with an education.
So we did talk about the trans thing last time we met up with Henry. That was maybe a month ago.
Yeah, dang.
So I forgot though. You refresh my memory. How recent was that breakthrough you had where you realized I don't identify as strictly a man?
I mean, strictly. I haven't been strictly a man. Like when you knew me in high school, I was questioning, but like I really wasn't able to take. I didn't have the. I hadn't thought about it enough, and I hadn't like had enough experience with like the spiritual stuff to really, for me to find a way to justify to myself, like not just being like a man. I was going to say like hobbled or crippled because that is the nature of like my masculine expression. Sometimes it's just like, in the being a man competition, like I'm like picked last for whatever, I'm the last one on the sport team who just gets picked and thrown on at the end, like, oh god. But when I'm trans, like when I embrace myself and think of myself as trans, I can just do whatever I want to do. And I know it's weird. We all know it's weird, but it's okay because like I got it.
I don't necessarily think it's weird, but can you be more specific when you say like trans? What does that mean to you?
Yeah,
like just genderless.
Or like, so I settled on non-binary for most of a decade, like at least 7 years. Just chilling out, being non-binary. 27. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, maybe 2018, but like 27. Like thinking about it, at least in 2017, this fits a little better than like calling myself like a cis male. And that was all right, but like it still like had this undercurrent of like what I characterize to myself as dishonesty, which is just like not being as completely honest with myself as I can in the moment, I'm not like a perfectly honest person, but I try to be. I try to find it within me to rise to the occasion. That is every moment. But
no, that's true. So in high school, because I only knew you for 2 years.
Sure, yeah.
But I actually knew your brother. Well, I wasn't that
Yeah,
close to your
yeah,
brother, but I used to go to the YMCA when I was in Pittsburgh Minden. I used to go to the YMCA. So starting like freshman year.
Yeah, no.
I used to go to the YMCA. I used to see him like because he's a buff dude.
Yeah, no, Ben
I
Duffy.
used to see him in the weight room. But then when I saw you, when I met you in high school, we didn't really cross paths too much.
I was caught up in a clique. Like,
I didn't recall. I didn't recall you really being in a clique.
But like, there's me, Corey, Simone, Gabe. Okay. We're like kind of like a group of people who would hang out and smoke weed together.
Yeah, so maybe I got a little bit of that vibe, but also you were kind of quiet.
Yeah, definitely.
You were definitely seemed more introverted, and you seemed a little like. Well, now I look back, it seemed like there was maybe something weighing on you, or something wasn't.
Yeah.
Or you were going through probably like something. Well, we all were, but like you. I'm not saying you didn't seem happy, but you seemed like something. Now I'm looking at it, you seemed like something. Seemed like something was weighing on you.
Yeah, like distracted or something.
Yeah,
yeah. I totally agree.
Not like unhappy, but
not
just trying to work things out, sorting something out.
No, I mean I was in some ways unhappy. But the year before you came, I like heavily depressed and like sliced my forearms up and down. Only for like 2.5 months. Then my parents were like, "You're gonna go to a psych ward," and I was like, "No, my education." So I rechanneled the self-harm from obvious cutting into slightly less obvious, not really, eating disorder. I was all fasting, right? Now, like, it's not like you're just trying to like kill yourself. Maybe it is sometimes, like here and there, but like it's really more for me. It was really more about just how I looked. It was just about like wanting to like be seen as worthy, I think. So then I was, I need to be like super skinny and like not eat for days and blah blah blah, and like, go be unable to sleep because of how hungry I am, and just
body image.
Body image, and it makes sense to me with the trans thing, because like now looking back, like I wanted to like fit body beauty standards that are more feminine than masculine. Like going for the like max skinniness.
Interesting. Because my twin brother Andrew, he not like exactly. He doesn't exactly share your viewpoint, but I think he also came to some realizations about like masculinity or what it means for him, and like what like he doesn't identify with the stereotypical masculine image. He's more
like they call it the liberal arts term is like heteronormative.
Yeah, perhaps maybe word. Yeah, and I don't really have the right terminology for this, but Andrew was really into K-pop, K-pop for a while, and like the way that these men in Korean pop are representing these guys in these boy bands, they're kind of like
boy bands,
it's kind of they're androgynous in a way, and like pretty very feminine. There's a very effeminate quality to them, and Andrew was sort of gravitated towards that because he's never been the most like masculine quote unquote person either. So he's also, I think, similar to you. He sort of wrestled with that part of his identity, I suppose. I have
we all have our own. Yeah, we all have our own thing. Like different things are more prominent for different people.
Yeah. Like even like with fashion, for example, like what is you're allowed to wear as a man or as female.
Yeah. A lot of what I've been like a lot of the ideas I've clung to over time that have like kind of stuck for me are like the idea of like manliness and like being a man. As like such a competition, which is like unhealthy and toxic, and like you boys do stupid shit to prove they're men, because like this is actually a whole social stat, like this is like rooted in the white man being the man, and like so everyone's trying to get to the top of the dog pile to be that white guy, and it can be different races now, it can be different like gender identities, it can be like it can be basically anything as long as you have the power and the charisma to like control people. But like, so I just don't vibe with that, right? Like I'm a very soft, gentle, like I try to be loving person, and I just can't do like that constant grind. I like to grind and like do my life right, but I don't want to. I don't know. That just, I guess it's the motivation maybe that just doesn't jive. So and then it comes out in a different way too.
When you were growing up, maybe like middle school, elementary school, what role? I guess your whole childhood. What role did your dad play in your life? Was he present? Was he absent? Was he a model? Was he a good model of masculinity? What kind of man is he, or was he?
Yeah,
because obviously your dad, the presence and the absence of your dad.
Yes.
Obviously, that has a huge influence on you.
Yeah, and the role model they set, the ideal that they help you create in your like early infancy and childhood, like that's gonna be a huge influence on like what masculine and feminine means.
Because I'm guessing in a lot of ways his role in your life obviously probably played a huge role in your conflict.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Right? Like I feel like a lot of it might be unconscious because like it's not so much about that. Like, there's mommy and daddy.
There's mommy and dad, yes.
So,
that's true. It's not never isolated, right.
It's not, but it's not so much about those, like, consciously. It's...
Yeah.
It's... But
do you identify?
I say consciously, but, like, personality formation. So, like, me, two brothers, and my mom and dad. If I'm just, like, a gentle, effeminate...
Interesting.
Like, young man and boy... Then, and I have like two brothers who are just like gung-ho crazy, Alex Duffy and Ben Duffy. Like Ben lifts and is full of testosterone. Alex thinks he's the coolest person on earth. Totally
interesting.
If like anyone's heard of astrology.
Are you the youngest?
Yes, I'm the youngest. Ben has me beat by like a minute, I think.
You know what's interesting? You very similar.
I'm much more like Alex.
I am too. Twins, three boys.
Oh yeah, weird, yeah.
So I don't know if our parents' dynamic is similar. My mom's mom's a very like soft-hearted, kind of warm. Like my dad's more it's like workaholic, like temper. Well, like, not like that, just like tricky emotional regulation.
Yeah. I think a hallmark of like not to be judgmental because I don't want to be. It's just toxic masculinity. Just throwing the word out there, as in like dysfunctional, not helpful. Masculinity is like. Yeah, the focus on work instead of like thinking that will supplant like putting effort into relationships.
Yeah.
What was the second thing you said?
Did I ask for the second thing?
You said workaholic and something. Oh yeah, and temper.
Temper. When I look back, at least in my childhood, I do like one of the things that sticks out about my dad was lack of. I don't want to say he's not. I don't want to say he's not. I don't want to say he's not emotionally intelligent because he probably has in some ways an intelligence towards that, but I don't. But we were always scared that he would to get him upset because when he got upset.
That was my mom.
That was your mom.
Years.
Okay.
Yeah. It's weird. Yeah, it's funny. My dad was relatively absent, trying to like make money, and my mom like was really loving at times, but like had this nasty temper like that would just like rear its ugly. Like I remember weeks where I'd be like, wow, mom hasn't flipped out in a week, like I should like be on guard because mom's gonna flip out soon. Yeah. Mom, like it's gonna happen.
Yeah, on our end, I remember it was, for me specifically, it was like, well, if I got a bad grade, I'd try to hide it from my dad, or if we would just, when it was time to practice our instruments, piano or viola or whatever, violin, it was like, we want to practice with mom, not dad. Because if we practice with dad, we're going to mess up and dad's going to flip out.
Oh my goodness.
And we would cry, because that was like...
oh my goodness, so like, that's wild. Like, that's not, because like...
Well, it's because there's that fear, it's like a fear-based thing, then you grow up kind of fearing your dad. Like,
I connect with that, like, sense of anxiety and like anxiety. Fear is definitely like part of that. Like
I think there's a neuroticism that's in both my parents that probably in some ways passed on to me and my brothers.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah, and it's definitely like in a lot of ways the neuroticism has at times been just such a big thorn in my side, but it also can be there can be good things that come of it.
Yeah, something
like
really
detail orientedness or like just analyzing stuff or just seeing. But
your greatest strength is your greatest weekness. That is like one of the smartest things my dad has ever impressed. My dad is a neurologist, MD, PhD, and that is one of the smartest things he's ever impressed on me.
What's kind of ironic is even like people who are super accomplished, like educationally, academically, whatever, vocationally.
Yeah.
That doesn't always equate to success in the house,
and
in the family, or
why would it?
Yeah.
Like like in an industrializing society, like that's kind of how we're gonna prioritize things. Like go do the work and like just like shove the kids into the food mouth, shove the food into the kids' mouth, make them go to sleep, send them to school, and then they'll get jobs and be productive members of society. Like
it's weird.
Just doing the mundane thing, powering the economy that doesn't actually care about any of us.
That's true. The economy, that's true.
Right, it's weird. Like my other brother is super crazy philosophy, and he like was characterizing like the GDP to me as like the miles per hour of the economy. Which is like kind of like insanely astute. Like I don't know if it's super well, but like if it is like what like all the transactions, the sum of all the transactions that go on, so then we have a growing economy. Like that is kind of like the acceleration rate.
Yeah. So what?
What is it?
So wait, what's Alex up to now?
Alex is like, he's actually
Did he
hopefully
finish college? No, he went back to
he's
college.
Graduating the end of the semester.
He went back to NAS.
Yes, he's at NAS.
And he's finishing some liberal arts.
Sociology.
Okay, so he's in Soch.
Yeah.
And Ben,
I think environmental science or something degree years ago, and is now at Naropa University, a place I got bullied out of over lies. Naropa University. He decided to. It was founded by a Buddhist monk, so everyone who goes there thinks that they're like his disciple, when like really they're just at a liberal arts school. Yeah.
You mentioned that. Yeah. So Ben had a spiritual sort of.
Ben's really spiritual. Yeah.
That wasn't always the case, though, was it?
I mean, it wasn't the case for me. I mean, I was always really feeling, right? But I was. But I didn't, that wasn't spiritual for me. We were raised without any spirituality.
No religion or anything?
Nothing.
Mom's a psychologist?
Mom is a psychiatrist. Dad's atheist, mom's agnostic. Dad was the atheism is important to Dad. Mom just kind of like doesn't know, so doesn't like say too much. Like she would say things about energy sometimes. I'd be like, oh, that's weird. But then, like, I got into it through the idea of interconnectedness, where, like, everything influences everything else through influencing the things around it. Like, is there really any separation between, like, you know, particle A influencing particles B through Y to get to particle Z? Like, or is that just, like, a squiggly line, but it's still a line? You know what I mean? Like, you can bypass, like, there's ways to, like, yeah, it's like a liquid almost. Like, we're all just, like, in a liquid, except when you get out, like, the air is just, like, slightly less dense atmosphere. Like, solid is just organized liquid. And then space is just, like, space is oh, God, space is crazy because nothing's there, but then there's, like, quantum physics and, like, big gravity and, like, dark energy and shit, which I don't understand. Do you?
I don't know shit about any of that stuff.
Dude, space is crazy. It's just like big distances, mind-blowing numbers. You're like, whoa, that's so crazy, dude. And then like they have pretty pictures.
There's like a paradox too, because sometimes we think we're the center of the universe and we think everything matters so much, but then you talk about quantum physics, space, and the universe, and then you realize, wow, we're just so minuscule. And I think
two truths. Gotta hold two truths in balance.
There's some like quote by some like astronaut who like went to the moon, and he had this realization or whatever when like he was looking out at planet Earth from
it's called Earth
a million bajillion miles away. He realized, we're doing or what.
I think there were no like he didn't see, or people when they had this don't see. They noticed that there aren't any lines on the Earth. It's just one. It's not a map with countries laid out. It's the Earth. It's our planet.
Yeah, it's really odd. I definitely had probably some existential crisis, like 18, 19, 20, probably like for a lot of my early 20s, or I do recall definitely asking like, what's the point? What's the meaning?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question.
But that question is an unanswerable question, I think, and it's a very dangerous rabbit hole sort of question where
it is dangerous, but it's not inherently dangerous. It's
right. I don't think you're right. I don't think it's inherently dangerous. I think.
But it's so easy to get like trapped or lost in like unhelpful negative attitudes, like nihilism. Just like, oh, like, you know, space is big, so nothing matters. So who cares? Which is like, well, like space is big, so nothing inherently matters, but you're still alive, so you should care.
So everything matters.
Yeah, like. Whole two truths, like nothing matters in some cases, or like in some ways of viewing things, and that doesn't have to conflict with the exact same things also mattering very much, I think.
Yeah, I think this goes back to just this idea that life is a paradox. Like I just talked about this with my friend, and it does feel like in a lot of ways, just a lot of contradictory things going on.
Do you know what non-duality is?
Well, no, I mean, I know what duality is.
So dualism is like, there's good and bad or whatever. Non-dualism is like, like shades of gray connect the good and the bad.
So they can both exist, though.
Yeah, and they're both part of the same continuum. Like that grass is a plant, and it's out there, and we're in here, and we're animals, but like on some level, like we're all just children of the earth, that grass now, so like we are all...
Well, that's the interconnectedness part.
Yeah, we are interconnected, exactly.
I think I do agree with that. So because everything that is around us, every sort of material thing, like some person, a human or multiple humans were responsible for it, so it's a weird...
Yeah, because we're all interdependent, we're social animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what I was saying with atmosphere life, so like, we're breathing the same air, like we're sharing space, like that is like there's us interacting, and then there's us like subconsciously interacting, like kind of just looking at each other
and
projecting and like feeling
things.
I
mean, every social scenario, like you're in a crowded grocery store or you're at work, all these, we're all interacting with each other, even if we're not verbally... We're not talking.
We're all sharing space. We're in the same environment. We're sharing energy. If you're into that.
No, well, it is true.
Yeah.
You walk by somebody, like you feel it actually when you walk by. If you're like, you ever walk by an empty street and just one other person's walking by, you're not sure you're make eye contact or not. Like, there's definitely energy there.
There's right. There's like tension. Exactly, and we both feel that even if it's not like in the air. It's in. We call it in the air. Yeah. That's super wild. Yeah, like shared hallucinations almost, right? Because we're both human, so we both have the same set of instincts, the same mind, different experience, different bodies, but like just like slightly tiny differences, and like in certain chemicals or like certain hormones, like I'm looking at acne and thinking of my acne.
Like a pimple on my mouth.
Yeah. Oh god, it's the word. Like I want to wear like I want to wear like lip stuff or like even just tinted lip chapstick, but it's like with this thing there, like no, that's just terrible.
Self-consciousness. Oh no.
Yeah. So like the human mind, the same instincts, like so we even though we're self-conscious in different ways because we have different experiences in lives, like, so I quote lives because I personally think we're all part of the same life in like a super macroscopic, like beyond the limits of the known universe way.
Yeah.
But like, and we still have our own experiences. Like, the two truths thing, like this can exist within this, and they don't have to contradict each other. So like, just because they relate doesn't mean they have to like butt up against each other. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
But that could be splitting hairs almost. Like you could also be arguing like this is the same thing, and we should treat it this way because they're so close. So it's kind of like how much magnification, precision you want. What level?
Interesting. So this is kind of a tangent. Why do you think some people like us, I guess for example, what makes us ponder these things? Because not everyone does, and I think if everyone did,
nothing would get done.
We'd be in a much more chaotic state.
I think if everyone did ponder this stuff, things would be a lot more peaceful.
Maybe you're right.
Or at least we'd all be a lot more calm as we were going to hell in a handbasket. We'd be like, oh, this is fine. Noam Chomsky, this like super like well-respected philosopher. Yeah, he thinks like Buddhism and interesting. He thinks Buddhism and like mindfulness are like just the new opiate of the masses, which is like actually that's only if you do it part way. Because if you're really being mindful, then you realize like, oh, stuff is happening and I should attend to it. I should be here. I should be here as part of this social network rather than just being here on a cushion, which is called Engaged Buddhism, which I learned from Thich Nhat Hanh, that Vietnamese monk I think I mentioned. Yeah. But like other people come to this same realization too. Like you can't just detach from the world. Like
no, you can't.
I don't think it was directly said from Buddha, but it was said to be transmitted by Buddha. Anyway, a later school of Buddhism, the Mahayana school, they think your enlightenment, your self-realization can't be complete unless all sentient beings share it. So
that made me think actually about self-actualization, because a lot of, even separate from Buddhism, like in psychology, there's some people with, I think Maslow's hierarchy, I think the top one was self-actualization, which is I think similar probably to enlightenment. Or
So one thing I learned in the Meaning of Death class, which actually is really good for like this schema because it's based on it, is just that the next step or like the real self-actualization, because I would argue that this is actual self-actualization, but it's kind of tricky, is self-transcendence. So like when you're really realizing your true self and you're transcending the ego, identity, personality, body, all the stuff that we're living in Matrix self.
Is it ever fully possible? In this life?
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've heard.
I think the awareness
it's
of it is
very
good enough.
possible to get it's very possible to get places, to change your consciousness, and to look back and see the difference. We experience that year to year, just like growing up. Like, what if you just focus on that?
What does it mean for someone to be fully self-transcended? Do you think? And like let's say on a day-to-day life, like you
so
go
like
your job,
Ramdas's guru. Ramdas, have you heard of Ramdas? Richard Alpert. He was the co-worker of Timothy Leary, who they were both into psychedelic research in the '60s at Harvard. And then Alpert gave some I think LSD to an underage student. So they both got fired.
Wow.
And Timothy Leary became a big psychedelic activist, like big icon for drugs. And he sometimes said some cool stuff, but
you ever heard of Alan Watts?
Yeah, Alan Watts was really cool, but he had a lot of cool things to say, but I actually don't think he's super cool because he said all those things for a lot of money.
Oh.
Right? So, like, he was going around giving talks and entertaining people with spiritual entertainment rather than, like, any really substantive call to, like, engage with this ourselves. He's just, like, telling us really crazy, mind-blowing ideas, which are cool, but, like, he just moves on to the next one to keep it going. I've only listened to talks and never met the man, of course, but, like, that was, like, that's the flavor of his talks for me, the ones that I enjoyed. So who knows, maybe I just like getting my mind blown. It's like, oh, like here's where he's exploring and like having a really deep academic discussion. I never read his books, so yeah.
Me either. I've only seen snippets and clips of this.
Yeah, no, he definitely knew he knew the English language, and he was very familiar with Buddhist ideas, so he was able to phrase them really well, really cool. Zen stuff, I think, was his thing.
I feel like it's a little bit hard to apply some of those ideas to the present day. I mean, when people say like being present, which like mindful, watching your thoughts, observing your thoughts, but not identifying with them. I think it all sounds like this is all great stuff, and it all sounds really good. But it's actually, I feel like it's quite difficult to fully apply them because you do have to, in some sense,
you have to
identify with your thoughts to function in society. By like ordering.
Oh well, so the ego is functional. Like unless you go to a monastery, like you gotta like work with an ego, or else you're just gonna be one of those. Maybe not crazy, but oftentimes crazy looking homeless people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're in a state of flux?
Usually.
I mean, do you feel like you'll always be in a state of flux? Because you pondered these questions?
Yeah, I hope so. One time I had a roommate who was like, oh, when you're 30, like, you start to get to know yourself and what you like and what you do, and then you can just kind of settle down. And I was, like, mortified. And I asked my mentor about it, and he was like, that has never happened to me. And I was like, okay, like, I hope you mean it. Like, I do not want to stagnate.
Do you feel like when you were growing up that, like, would you say you had a more enjoyable childhood, or do you look back and see it like, oh, I struggled quite a bit?
I had a really enjoyable childhood, and then when adolescence hit, I like got all the shit at once.
When what?
Adolescence.
Adolescence hit.
Yeah. Got into the therapy early with depression or like depressive thoughts.
How old were you when you started therapy?
Probably like 7th or 8th grade.
What, like 14?
Maybe 6th. Yeah.
So your parents were like, or your mom or someone was like, I think you should go see someone.
Yeah, I think I was just like asking myself big questions that like a 13-year-old or 14-year-old that has no answer to and doesn't know anything about. So maybe you should go see a therapist to talk about it. Yeah.
Do you think it helped?
Yeah, I think therapy is really helpful. I think therapy is really awesome, and I wish that everyone just had access. It's not that everyone should do therapy, but I wish everyone had access to therapy. That would be awesome. That would be great for people. It's like have the door open, like, not have to do a crazy wait time or fill out a bunch of stuff or say a lot of information you don't want to say. Just like somebody who you can talk to in a clinical professional setting who will like be there for you and like try to help treat, but like first just like let you talk and like let you say it, and like often professional therapists have like don't really communicate anything about who they are in order for the subject to do what's called transference is like projecting, essentially, to project onto them, and then they can psychoanalyze us better by how we project. Or like maybe not psychoanalyze because that's not a therapist, but like so basically like they can help us with like they can have insights and bring our attention to patterns that we might not notice, I think.
Do you have any sort of memories from your childhood that stick out to you that really shaped your perspective on things, positive or negative? Any sort of big memories that stick out to you?
I guess I'll tell you a couple. The big one, the really cool one, was when I was going to. It's cool to me because I like meditation stuff. And it's bad. We were in New York City and we were on the harbor front, like Bayfront or whatever.
It's like a family vacation.
Yeah.
How old were you?
Probably 11, 12 maybe. Okay. Staying at a friend of my father's apartment while they were on a vacation too. I was just there was just this fountain, and I like sat in front of it and like closed my eyes and kind of just sat up because I just wanted to like really pay attention to the fountain. And like,
where was it?
Just like on the waterfront somewhere, just like a little park along the waterfront with like some nice stone and a fountain and some plants and stuff, like just like a path, like part of a path along the waterfront. Yeah, it was nice. And this Japanese, my mom was just babysitting me, and this Japanese lady turned to my mom, was like, "Oh, meditation," and my mom was like,
He's 11.
This kid has never heard of this shit." Like, and I was like, I had like a little vision of like Mario reaching for a star, like the little gold star rewards you get in those games. So that was that's an interesting like vision for a child to have in relation to like this specific practice being brought up. And then like another like interesting thing that is more just personal is that this is more along the trans stuff. One time when I was like 6 or 7 or whatever, like we were at my parents made us take Ishinryu, a martial art, for discipline. Didn't work. Didn't work. I'm sorry. But I remember after we were just hanging out afterward in the parking lot, and I don't know why we weren't already going home, but I was just like thinking of like something I saw on TV, which like happened to be like a woman singer or something, I think. So I like dropped a shoulder, like absentmindedly, not even thinking. And like my brothers and my dad just looked at me like, what's wrong with you? Dropped the collar of my off.
Oh, right, because it's kind of like a feminine thing.
Yeah, that's a very feminine thing, I think. And so they were like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Don't do that." Like, okay, like with like relatively stern, like we know best. So, and like that's just like a pattern. That was a pattern in my life for a very long time. Was like little things that I wanted to do or extend myself or expand into that I would resist or like feel shame. Yeah, feel ashamed. Shame as in anticipating rejection from others, feel ashamed about like having these urges or like wanting to like I'm wearing like mascara right now, but like I try not to go very big when I'm just like chilling out. Like it makes your eyes look a little nicer, but it's not like anything super crazy. And then I have like I mentioned the tinted lip balm. I've got that, which I could put on, but like whatever, it just makes my lips a little redder. You just find the color that works for you.
Subtle.
Yeah, that I like the subtle. I can do faces.
You feel more
but I prefer like day to day to just like one day I'll learn eyeliner and I'll do that too. But like other than that.
Do you feel like that's a way that you can express yourself and feel sort of does that make you feel more comfortable?
Yeah, it helps me feel better about my body, about my appearance. I just feel better. There's a lot of doing this is just fun. It's fun the same way that chicks say it's fun. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, it's fun to be pretty and like feel like feel that your image is like pleasant to look at and like be looking at like I could wear shorter shorts and I would because I have nice legs, but I haven't shaved in a while, so like, but like there's a lot of things you can do to like up that, and you can go really far up, and like then you're probably being feminine or like really gay, but flamboyant, really out there, but you can also be subtle and kind of low key and just like wear the mascara, wear the balm, like leave your hair down. Wear like a couple necklaces and shit. Like I usually wear a ring, but forgot. Just little things. I'm mad I forgot that ring because it's like a little symbol, and the symbol. Yeah, exactly. It represents like the whole cycle of birth. Maintenance is the word I kind of know for it, but like birth, life, death, and rebirth. Cause like so it's. I've been taught that you spell it AUM. For this context, the A is the birth, the O, the U, the U is life, is death, and then the in breath is rebirth, which is I think that little in breath thing is super fancy. I love that, and I really connect to that. I think that like this is the flower of life, which is a sacred geometric pattern which represents creation. This is I think I showed you it before. It's a image from like the climax of a Hindu myth about Durga, who is the feminine almighty, Mahadevi, which just means great goddess, projecting another goddess, Kali, who is like sort of like mother, but can also be really fierce in that way, like protective mother, but also very loving too. So Kali is like a really interesting goddess who I'd like to learn more learn more about the flavor of the worship of, because I've heard that in India like she's just mother and like they love her, and like out here we're all about the fierce image and the like she's got like a skirt of arms and shit. It's crazy. So like Kali was like doing some shit, killing some demons, and like got pissed off and started destroying the whole universe. So Shiva had the foresight to, there's like different ways he did this, but it's that he put himself on in front of where she was going to step, because Kali is Shiva's consort, I think. So then when she steps on him, it snaps her out of it, and she even has her tongue out. It's actually a symbol of her saying she's ashamed for having like acted out, which is just part of the imagery. But so anyway, so the Almighty Goddess is the Almighty, and creativity are like all like very deep spiritual like aspects of spirituality to me, like the life cycle and the rebirth cycle, whatever you want to call it, like the life death rebirth cycle, is what I view. We're constantly even in moment to moment psychologically, we die into the next moment. We have to leave one moment to enter the next moment. So there's that creativity, like everything is just constantly every new moment is constantly being created, which is like deeply holy and profound and sacred to me. Like every new moment, every breath, every little experience, every strand of my attention that I'm aware of is like, and all the rest of it that I'm not aware of too is a gift and a blessing to me. And so, it's very deep. Yeah, so then like almighty divinity, almighty femininity is that I just relate. I think divinity can be whatever you want it to be. It's important. I almost want to identify as agnostic because I don't want to like put a label on.
I was gonna ask you if there was a school of thought or religion that you'd identify.
So like what this is from, the Shakti, which is a Hindu denomination. I think it's a little too like it's a little too precise. So sect. That believes that the Almighty, the greatest deity of all deities, is feminine. Which I vibe with that for like that, and that's how I realized I was trans, because I didn't know how to reconcile the feminine part of divinity within myself until I just like one day just like was just like haphazardly accepted it, like almost unthinkingly. It's like, oh yeah, of course, like divinity is feminine too, and it like blew my mind, and I was like, oh, I'm trans now, because I believe we're all thou art God. I did remember this one, which is just like a silly hashtag, but I do think we are all divine. All beings, all things are divine. Carry some.
Talked about this,
carry some like we have consciousness. Animals have consciousness. Plants have consciousness. Rocks are interesting because like
could
they be like vessel? Well, like the plants like can send messages to each other.
Like the growing faster with classical music versus rock music.
so there's something there's something in there being effective. There's something powering the growth, something that is willing to growth in the subconscious processes, which I don't even know. I guess it's all subconscious for a plant maybe, but like it's still a consciousness, just not as high a consciousness as we have.
I'm wondering, are there questions that you are still seeking answers for?
There always will be. I mean, there's no way for anyone to know everything, and like I'm not even super good at that pursuit, so it's more like I truly hold questions dear. I cherish good questions because they are such good teachers. You can have so many answers. You can never really answer any question. So like if you want to like get really deep and be like, oh, like everything's so abstract and interconnected, you can't answer it with language. But like also I would just say no, nothing is ever the same. So like even though we have science that says like, oh, like you do this with this and like, you know, we understand how things work. Like how will it work in like 5 millennia in a different part of the galaxy with subject to like modified like parameters of the laws of physics and shit. Like everything's relative.
I'm wondering, was your decision to study religious studies more rooted in your interest in this sort of field, or was there something, the sort of outcome you wanted, like, oh, I want to?
It was rooted in my interest. I have no idea what I'm doing at college. I'm just trying to get a degree. Yeah. No, I think I want to be like a counselor maybe right now. And that would be an excuse to like continue education, get CE credits, which like are part of like just having that job and like keeping yourself up to date.
Is that something you could see yourself doing, like counseling, or?
Yeah, I could potentially do that.
What are some things you like outside of your college studies and working? What are some activities or interests you have, or that maybe growing up you had?
The ones I've held on to for a long time, outdoors, but more than that, video games. I like video games too much.
What do you play?
Right now I'm playing Dragon's Dogma 2 mostly.
I don't know that one.
It's new. It's just.
That's right. You play with Grant, right? And them.
Oh no, that's Baldur's Gate. That's the D&D one.
Okay, I'm not familiar with
those. So they're video games, right? Like
video games, outdoors, spirituality. Like your three.
So spirituality is like wasn't even my thing when I was a kid.
Is that number one now?
No, spirituality. Yeah, I guess.
What's like your favorite thing to do?
Honestly, play like games? One of the best times I had recently was a recent rainstorm. There's this glass door onto my mom's deck. I just put a pillow down and sat and like meditated and just looked at the raindrops on the wood and the whole view, but like the raindrops on the wood was like, whoa, like this is like sensations and things happening and coming to me, like, you know, that whenever it's a cool image that like feeds into the meditation, that's the funnest part.
It just made me recall, like, you know, when you're driving and it just rains really hard and you see the rain just on your windshield and all this crazy, what is this pattern, or what is this shape, or what is this on my screen?
Seeing like crazy shapes and things that almost make sense and like move in and out of like sensible patterns. That's always so fun.
I remember as a kid, I used to, or even still now, sometimes I remember when it was raining, we'd be driving, I'd watch the raindrop on the window, like it already hit the window, and then it would fall.
Sure, yeah.
Like the little blob.
But it would like be doing it in the wind too.
Yeah, or then another one would be like.
Yeah, no, I remember doing that too. I miss those days. I try to like open up to that childish wonder more nowadays. Recently, because like this morning, I think I was just looking up at the sky. And I was thinking about smoking weed, and I was like, no, like look at the sky, like just look at the sky for a moment, like you clearly see something that is not just what's in front of you. You're not looking at the road, you're not looking at the trees or the cars, you're not like inside like thinking about whatever craziness. You're just looking up at the sky with this like little childish wonder, like, wow, that's so pretty, like those shapes I've never seen before and will never see again, and not even conscious of that, but just in that moment is something really it's special to me. Yeah,
I think it's really important as we get older you still want to maintain some of that childish wonder.
You connect with your inner self.
Yeah, because I have my family friend, he's like 79, but sometimes his his energy, like, just he has the energy of a very, very young, almost child. And like I kind of want to, when I'm in 40 years time, 50 years time, I would hope I still have some sort of enthusiasm like that.
Yeah, some like enthusiasm. I was playing a video game, blah blah blah. It's a space video game. You can name your spaceship, and I named it Enthusiasmos, which I think, oh god, it's like Latin for, like a sense of adventure or wonder or something, and like that is the root of the word enthusiasm. So, like, I really like that you use the word enthusiasm there.
Yeah. It can be difficult because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world and, in our heads that can make us feel very just not so good about things.
Make us feel not so good about things. What? Yeah, you're saying it, brother. That's the fucking truth.
I mean, my brother's like my twin. He's very cynical right now, and like I've been very cynical before too. And
I flux up and down.
But it's just not it's just not. But when you interact with somebody who just has this like just undercuts.
It's low energy.
It's low energy. It's just like undercut.
Yeah, no, it's just like, dude, like I'm just trying to eat my ice cream. Please don't slap it out of my hand this time. But like, please don't like death glare me for like not dropping it. Because I've been like this morning. I was like, like coming home from the gym. My mom drives me to the gym because she's older.
Which one do you go to?
The Shotland YMCA, the one in Pittsburgh.
Oh, the big one.
The new one. Yeah.
I used to have a membership there.
It's nice. It's a nice one. So like, and just the way people drive sometimes ticks me off, or like little things you hear on the radio, and it's just like, like what's wrong with that? Me, like going full square. Mom's like, what's wrong with you? It's like, shut up, ma'am.
What was interesting is like with driving, to see how I think people take driving very personally.
Yeah,
if someone cuts them off or someone does something stupid, they're like,
dude, your face gets red, and you like, the veins travel up your arms, and you grip so hard.
Yeah, like nowadays when I'm driving, sometimes I just expect people to pass me, and when they do, I'm just like,
no, that's me
I'm not
too.
affected. I try to be affected because
that's me. Like
I'm just trying to go to work.
Yeah,
I'm not in a rush to go to work. I'm just going to work.
Yeah, no, thank God you actually give yourself time, or like, even just allow yourself time even if you're late. Like,
well, it's like pick your battles. Like pick what you get worked up about. Pick what you're willing to get pissed off. Like pick what you're willing.
No, because like being mad, being anything really is effort, and like that's like a lot of what I learned from mindfulness is like when I'm in my anger, when I'm happy, when I'm when I'm high on drugs, like these are all stresses. These are all something other than like calm, placid, just
placid.
Almost. I think that. Oh god, let me look it up because.
Okay, look it up.
I have a dictionary out.
Hold on, while you look this up, I'm distracted. I see a bug on the floor that I want to flush.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
I think it's one of those like spy lantern things. I've heard they're invasive.
Lantern flower.
Yeah, I think they're lantern flower. I'm gonna flush down
the toilet. Oh yeah. See, but
it might not even be alive anymore. You look it up.
Yeah, placid means serenely free of interruption or disturbance. So like
that sounds like peace.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like peace is what is always. I truly believe like. Well, I can't say I 99% believe. I don't know it in my heart of hearts, but I want to one day. I really think that peace is always here for us. I think it's always available. I think every moment is a opportunity to embrace love. I think love is I think love is divinity. So like love and peace are almost interchangeable at this level. They're different aspects of it. Is a better way to put it. Love is almost more active, where peace is just being. That's how I feel. But love can, even those roles can be exchanged. So like even that.
How do you apply this, or how does this look for you on a day-to-day basis? For example, like when you wake up, you go to school, you go to the gym, you interact with your peers, your classmates, your friends.
Yeah, when I'm in my head, when I'm alone, it's more wild. I experience intrusive thoughts a lot. So, like, a big part of my mindfulness practice that is something I'm really trying to like reinstill because it was really fucking helpful when I was doing it like a month ago. Is letting go of any narrative. So like even just metacognition, thinking what I'm gonna say, looking outside and thinking that so be it. Just let every time something like that arises, even I was trying to get to even just feelings and urges, just like letting go and
difficult.
No, I completely agree. I completely agree.
I mean, specifically, it's difficult. Not to turn this to me, but like I'll bring it back to you. But for example, like catching feelings for like I've caught feelings for this girl, and it's just like it's so hard to let go of. Like you just start telling yourself all these stories, your imagination just go. You just gotta like you analyze the shit out of it. Just like no, you just gotta let go of it. Just or you can still like accept and let
just
it happen,
yourself,
but just
like
let it pass through. But it's still like extremely hard.
Yeah, no, and judgment.
What does
judgment is just another form of that. So like when you judge yourself is like judgment is the last thing you want to do in that place. Just saying from a place of love, because like it's another. I said placid, free of interruption. Like so, like anger. Maybe not love, if I may, but like, any emotion, any energy, any urge, or like pretend like you feel a thought coming, let alone the thought itself. Like those are all disturbances from what is here and now. Like what is unconditional, what is eternal, which is the present moment.
Yeah.
And I really like this way that I learned to contextualize the present moment. Is that this monk who was really also this Christian monk who was exposed to Zen because he like was an ambassador between the two traditions. Brother David Steindl Rast, learned about him for the Meaning of Death class. He talked about the present moment essentially. So it's like this small sliver of time that we're all in, right? Like there's the past and the future, and then there's the present moment. So if you slice that present moment in half, then you have the past and the future. So then where's the present moment? Present moment is, I think of it as like a single dot or a single line that like is there, and as you move into it, it expands.
Well, as you move into it, it's gone.
Right.
In some ways.
Well, so yeah, so that's so tricky. That's super tricky. Is like being with the present moment and not just immediately being like, oh, this is the present moment, but like actually like meditating the next moment too.
You almost can't even acknowledge. It's getting very meta, but you almost can't acknowledge the present moment because as soon as you do, it's gone.
Exactly. That's a total thing. Like, I think when you're like in your meditation or whatever brings you into the present moment, a little bit of like feeling like, oh, like here I am is one thing. But what I've heard a few times is like if you think you're meditating, then you're not meditating. Because like if you're sitting there thinking, then you're not meditating. Yeah, because
I was just thinking being present it must mean you're free of thought in some ways. Or at least you're not inside your own head.
It's not attachment is what is my best understanding.
Yeah, I don't know I probably don't have the vocabulary to
No, and I'm just trying to supply you with it. Is, like, so from what I know anyway, is that non-attachment, so there's detachment, which is not being in things, and there's being attached, which is like clenching and being too attached, clingy, sticky is like the object of attachment can feel sticky, like thoughts are really sticky.
Do you think thinking about these things these things...
Just to finish what I was going to say, so non-attachment is just like fully engaging, like if you're gonna punch someone, don't attach to an over punch and don't detach and like just like not really hit them, like but like
interesting.
Do it non-attached, like punch them in the moment that that it connects that they've taken the hit, that you don't have to do it anymore. Then you drop and like come back.
Do you think thinking about this kind of stuff makes us better?
What do I know? I didn't feel like a good description.
No. That's very interesting. I'm curious. Do you think thinking about this stuff makes us better people? Like, does it make us more?
I don't want to like put value judgments on it, right?
Not better. Maybe better is not the right word.
Yeah, like
they're more well-rounded, wholesome human beings. Or
I guess well-rounded. that's still very
does it
weighted in
make
our
us
language
more
and culture, but I think well-rounded might be the words I
does it
use
make
if
us
we
more
took that.
enlightened? No.
In like,
It certainly makes us more
brings you
aware.
more into life.
It certainly
makes you more engaged.
Yeah, so I think it certainly expands our awareness. Like makes us more
Yeah,
aware.
expands your awareness.
Forces us to reflect, which is I
Yeah.
think always good. I think it's always good to reflect and think about.
You know, they're like the ego is functional. Like reflection is thought and ego, but like even reflecting on these really big concepts and like going and practicing and like doing your yoga or your meditation or your tai chi or whatever, or your exercise or your music, those things can all exist, but you don't want, if you lean too much into any of them, then that starts detracting from the rest of your total well-being.
Good point.
Like, so you want, like, I just learned that word from like Positive Psychology 101, essentially. Like, it was like a Psi 110 or something. So like, subjective well-being is the technical term in positive psychology for happiness. So
subjective well, yes, and
I think enlightenment is just like maximum well-being. It's just like taking all the obstacles, everything, not even doing anything about it, letting it go, like, and not just letting it go, but giving it up. This is a good vocab thing from Brother Steindl Rast was, when you give something up, it's like you're offering it as a sacrifice. Where if you let it go, you're kind of just like, like kind of trying to like separate and detach rather than like non-attach maybe. Like when you give up something, like you're giving it up to whatever, and like you're here with it, you want it, you care about it, and you're still going to give it as a sacrifice to what's more important, like your time for your kid or something. And then, if you're just letting go, it's like, oh, Jimmy's over at the soccer club, but I've got another 5 years to die. Like, I'll go pick up Jimmy, but it's gonna be a wild ride. Oh no!
Whoa.
Oh no, God!
It's a little bit of a tangent. So, what's your take on romantic love? Have you been in a what's your stance? Have you been in a serious relationship recently, or
no?
Do you desire to be in one, or
yes.
Is there somebody you're currently very attracted to? Like,
no.
what's your take on a romantic relationship with all your spiritual kind of insights or spiritual thoughts?
Yeah, romance is tricky. I have a really bad time with it.
I remember in high school you were
She cheated on me.
Oh, okay. In high school?
Yeah.
Like senior year?
Yeah. You might want to clip that out of it. But yeah, I won't tell you the circumstances. Okay. But yeah, it was not the most peaceful parting.
So
we're not the happiest parting. It was pretty fine.
So that was in high school, but then like in between then and
when
now.
I was a freshman in college, I had a girlfriend for a couple months. Like early on, that was just like us just trying to figure ourselves out.
But then you left college after what semester?
Yeah. So then I ended things with her like a month before that. Like like, what are we even doing? Like, I'm super fucked up. We need to stop this now. Yeah. Like, I've got things.
That was like almost a decade ago. So now where you are at? What's your stance on it now?
So
have you
like
pursued
I think back in like
20.
Oh God, it's painful. Like 2017 or 2018. What was it? Probably 2018. I was the latter part, I think, of a year and a half of being led on by this woman who like was using me for emotional support essentially, and but really rationalizing it to herself, like really not thinking she was being that bitch when she really was just like treating me like dog shit. And like we had good conversations, but like she just like, I needed more, and she like would keep putting it off and keep sidestepping, like being like, oh yeah, there's totally a chance, dipshit. Like, come on.
Wait, so you weren't a couple?
No.
Were you like physically intimate?
Not until after I beat up the guy who was doing this, who was like manipulating her into doing this to me. Yeah.
Huh? That sounds messy.
He started it. He came in. I got it. He was abusive. So
this girl was in a relationship with somebody else.
Millennial almost
situationship.
Yeah, in a situationship very much. And it was very abusive on his end, so and it seems like on her end too, like she was not the kindest person to him. It's just ugly, gross. I can't believe I just like was caught up like an idiot. Anyway.
Well, hold on, but actually before you tell, why do you think you were why were you so?
Because I thought she had a good heart. She does. Maybe she did have a good heart. She just like was rotten to the core.
Had some bad tendencies or habits.
Yeah, bad habits. Exactly. Bad ways of relating. She also had daddy issues, which does not help us, brother. So, but like, so the door is locked to her apartment. She and I were hanging out, and he comes and knocks on the door. He's drunk apparently, and I'm telling her like, just don't open the door. But I should have just gotten in the way and been a man. But since I'm not a man, I was like, oh, like please just don't open the door.
You're not a man.
It's so much easier to. It makes so much sense when I just like go with it, right?
I'm not a man.
Yeah. So I was standing next to the door, like, please don't open the door. And she was at the door, like, opening the door. I was like, this is fucking dumb. He knocks her over. She has chronic pain. She has bad chronic pain, actually.
Where, her back or something?
Side, down her leg, in her arm, in her rib, I think. I think a
what?
couple different sides.
Goodness.
Yeah, no, chronic pain.
From what?
Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a rare genetic disorder, but it's real. It's a syndrome, so it's just a bunch of different things that symptoms that co-occur a lot. We don't really know what it is. So Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and it's interesting when they started doing this. The night they started doing this was the first night she experienced pain.
Wait, the night you started doing this?
Yeah, no. What? So the three of us were hanging out before anything had developed. And like, she and I were going to fuck. She like wanted to fuck me, but then I was like, oh, like I want to take things slow. So like then she like literally then probably decided she's gonna go fuck this guy instead.
Oh,
and like
God,
she started experiencing discomfort from pain that very night.
Wow.
Yeah, weird. Anyway,
like,
super weird. But like, so she was on the ground, like, you know, probably if it were me, I would probably be like half like, you know, silently screaming at that kind of pain. From like my understanding of how much pain, like
so she had
a sudden
pain.
physical like.
Wait, so hold on.
He opens the door abruptly and pushes her over.
Oh, okay, so I'm like, wait, why? She's on the ground.
So she's on the ground. Excuse me.
Oh, jeez.
So he comes at me. I literally
like grab him. Was this when you were local?
No, this was in Boulder, Boulder, Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah. Comes at, he like starts coming at me and doesn't really come at me yet.
He's drunk.
He's drunk. I'm in like as good physical shape as I am now, or probably better, honestly, a little bit. I grab him by the scruff, I think, and like throw him into a wall. And like it's basically like he tries to like fight back a couple times. It's basically me just like beating him for like 2 minutes.
Oh my
2 to 3
God.
minutes. Yeah. Like, and he tries getting up a couple times, and I just like slam him on the ground and like get him again. Yeah. And but then like I realized I was taking my anger out on him, and I would literally stop mid punch, like, or like I think it was this arm.
All the trauma from your past, just
from a year and a half of this dude like trying like doing everything but like saying, oh, this is my bitch, step off, and then like, you know, being like super weird and like being abusive to her, and like no, this guy was a huge asshole.
You've had like multiple run-ins with him. You had
you know, I've seen this guy I've seen this guy quite a few times.
Yeah.
Oh God, he sucks.
So a bunch of built up, pent up.
So I realized what I was doing, and I like paused mid punch, looked up, and this old ass man, her neighbor is just standing in the room like, and I was like, okay, like I'm gonna get out now.
Wow, sounds like a movie.
Yeah, it was wild. The cops like came and like he ran off, and like they picked him up a couple hours later. But the cops looked at me, and like once they heard the story, were like, "Are you okay?" And they like gave me like a little Band-Aid, like put a little Band-Aid here, and then like didn't even ask me any other questions.
Was she, when you started physically assaulting him, was she still in danger, or were you just...
He came at me. He threatened me.
Oh, right.
No,
Sorry.
Yeah. He pushed her over and was like intending
self-defense.
to attack. Yeah. No, it was all self-defense. He started that shit, and I was not going to just let him get away with this shit. Not again. Not like barging into her apartment when she said she didn't want to see him. Don't know how much she actually meant it, but she said so. So that was what I was working with.
That was what, 2017, 2018? So that,
yeah.
22, 21 years old.
22.
Yeah.
22.
Jeez.
Goddamn, 5 years ago. Yeah, that fucked me up for life because I'm not had a serious relationship or really any interest since then. I was asexual for a few years after. Oh,
what do you mean? Hold on. What do you mean you were asexual?
No.
Can you just...
No. So the cherry on top of this awful escapade of my life was that her ex-boyfriend from Tampa. Just don't interject. I'll let me tell the bullshit really quick. First, they came to Naropa saying that they were a trans woman, and then like kind of like just stopped doing that after a few months. They were just following the girl the whole time, as it turned out. He spread lies about me I'll get to it. he spread lies about himself and her dating. He was always like a bit of a douchebag, just like weird and like oddly confrontational. Very angry person, very obviously angry person. Just like, you know, boiling, simmering, like for no reason. You just like, you look at them and they're just like, you ever seen that person? Someone just death glares you when you're like crossing the street and they're a total stranger.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think I know.
Yeah, right. So you've seen that. So like, this person, about a month later, I like could not like get out of like being like super like cocky, and I was trying to not be cocky, and I just keep like being cocky. And I was like, what the like it sucked, and so I was tripping shrooms and I was dog sitting for this girl while she was out like on vacation. I think I was literally just dog sitting. I took the dog on a walk, came home, was watching TV. And like this guy like strong arms her somehow. Like she's just a fucking spineless limp dick woman. Strong arms her into like giving him her keys and showing up and taking over the responsibility without my input. So he comes in and starts talking a lot of trash at me for no reason. So I get up and start a fight with him. I threw the first punch this time and he choked me out to unconsciousness.
Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you just remind me what his role in your life was?
He was the ex-boyfriend of this woman.
Ex-boyfriend of this.
Yeah. Follow her all the way from Tampa to Boulder.
This girl sounds like
she's a fucking problem.
I don't know. I don't want to be a judge of her character, but yeah, it sounds like because the people around her.
She like Rob. Like I mean it. She's
red
spoiled.
flags.
She's just spoiled. Yeah. Too. Like and I was just stupid. No, it was just foolish.
What kind of
But so all that like, it's just so after that fight was when I was really done with everything.
You had to do some introspection.
So asexual is just when you're not into sex. That's
right.
when you're just like not like looking for it, not into it.
Oh.
And I like still was like I like still had a sexual appetite, but
yeah.
I like not interested in anyone in any way, shape, or form because like relationships are scary.
I thought asexual meant you weren't attracted. You didn't have any like romantic attraction.
I was trying to figure that out at the time. I settled on asexual being like behavioral.
Interesting, because then I guess we're really like I'm definitely attracted to women.
Well, let me look that up because like there could just be maybe.
But I'm like you in that sense.
I was basically just an incel, right? Like.
Well, no, I was kind of like you too. Like I never really feel the urge. Like even if I see someone really attractive, like a girl I'm super attracted to, I don't feel the urge like I want to
Well, like not immediately, right? You want to like meet like wow she's so pretty and like mysterious and entrancing and enchanting. Like that's all cool. But like if you just see someone like I want to fuck
right.
It's like for real. Chill the fuck. Get off the testosterone for 2 minutes.
No, I definitely don't think I'm super like lustful in that sense. Like just on instant, just instantly.
Yeah,
I think it's something that has to
I have a sex drive, but never really been able to exercise it.
Yeah, I think I've numbed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just never.
It's been and it's also like been put on the back burner a little bit because there's what do you do with this? Like feel bad.
But I don't think it's such a bad thing either because you also want to like if you're into women like you or anyone I guess you want to make them feel to have a good healthy relationship they need to feel safe, they need to feel comfortable around you.
Yeah, I feel I think a lot of people will appreciate that about people like us in another like 5 years when we're all a little more mature.
Yeah.
Hopefully, right? That's what everyone, all the adults in my life are like, oh, just wait till you're 30. It's like, fuck you, Dad. I'm never gonna.
I'm almost there.
I'm trans and I like women. I'm never gonna have a wife because I'm not even damaged goods. I'm just really unlucky. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, you don't have to get married, you know.
Well, you know what it feels hopeless, like
Does it feel hopeless?
In a passive way, not like depression.
I don't feel hopelessness, but I think sometimes I feel an indifference, like almost like.
Indifference. What's
like I'll feel attracted to someone, but then part of me is always
lethargy, like
but part of me is always like ready to be like, oh, it's probably not gonna work out.
Yeah, totally. Like
I'll be a team, but let's just
because we've been conditioned by like people being really unkind and cruel. At least for me, like the way I've been treated by plenty of people, there's no really blame other than like societal, systemic. Like nothing we can really control. It's more about like what we do with it. But like, I feel like people have been real jerks to me. Like essentially because of like my being a male.
Women, you mean? Or just
women and some men and some like non-heteronormative people. Just because I have this body and the skin and these eyes and this hair. So I'm like, oh, I'm poster child privileged white boy when I was a boy. So like, he is so easy to take it out on. Oh, he'll be fine. Like he has this easy life. So like so he can take all our trash online. It's like, well, actually,
trash online.
Yeah, or in person. A lot of it. Naropa University was so liberal artsy. It was just got like.
Where is it again? Is it in Boulder?
Yeah, it's in Boulder. There was a feminism class who had the worst teacher. This teacher, her son came out to her as straight. Yeah. She had us read a poem about how she had us read a poem about how if a woman ruled the world, then everything would be great. And I was just like, wait, isn't this sexist? Isn't this just sexist? And like she was like, oh yeah, you're so woke that you just like see through it. And I was like, no, this is just sexist. And I left that class. Did not like that.
That was a little extreme.
Yeah, and but that was like sanctioned. Like all the other students were like, if not vibing, they were letting it happen. So like Boulder is that kind of place though. So
is that what brought you to Boulder originally? Was because you wanted to go to Naropa?
No, I went there because I went after dropping out of college and
Sarah Lawrence.
Yeah, after Sarah Lawrence,
which is in New York.
Yonkers, like 10 minutes north of New York. I did nothing for about 9 months and then went to wilderness therapy, and that was in Colorado. And so then Boulder's in Colorado, and Boulder had a halfway house, so I went to that halfway house.
Halfway house is a.
It's like, yeah, it's generally for drugs, but like I had a friend who went to it for tech addiction. So like the therapist wanted me to be with my friend essentially. So like a friend I'd made in wilderness therapy. Still talking.
Oh, so halfway, sorry, it's a place where you recover.
Yeah. So like wilderness therapy is like the intervention.
I know, sorry, yes, you know, yes.
So no, it's fine.
My bad. I'm slow right now.
You're all good.
I know wilderness therapy. So it was for psychological. You were just depressed or something.
Yeah, I was depressed and like hopeless and like didn't see any reason to do anything with my life.
So at that time you dropped out of Sarah Lawrence and you were like what, liberal arts degree or something, or?
I'm totally undecided.
Undecided. Okay. And so you dropped out because were the
social and mental health issues.
And did you just not like school, like academics either?
I love school.
So you
academics is hard, but I really get a lot out of like studying and like getting all this knowledge and condensing it into like crazy ideas.
Yeah,
that, like,
you are.
My life.
Interesting, because when I dropped out of Penn State my spring semester freshman year, it was. A lot of it was social, but a lot of it was also like, what's the point of this academics? Like, what's the point?
That was me like with jobs. Like, what's the point of a job? Like, what's the point of food? Like, who cares, man? Like, stupid kid.
Yeah, no. Well, what's interesting is like, cause I had bumped into Malcolm Reek.
Oh yeah.
I bumped into him. I reconnected with him last week because after
I saw you said something
because I was reaching out to the class with reading and stuff, and Malcolm and I caught up a little bit last Wednesday, and he actually also dropped out of school, I think after a semester.
Wow, weird.
And he had gone to I forgot what the school was called, but it's kind of interesting just to see like. Because when I was like going in and out of school, and I was like, I felt like I was just like crazy, and I was like the only one who was doing this crazy stuff. But then it turns out like so many other people in our class like didn't follow a sort of conventional path in college. Like Jason also dropped out, or Jason flunked out, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he was like playing league or something. Like being like a
you left, Malcolm
player.
left, I left.
Wow.
There are probably other people in our class.
Yeah,
also.
right. Yeah. Being Harley students, we are probably lucky enough to be able to like make a choice like that first instead of like, oh, you have like if you don't do this college thing, like you're fucked for life. Like
no, my dad almost disowned me for well, that's what he
thought. Like my dad also like makes college a super big deal and like controls us with money like for college, which is like, wait, bro, like I thought this was like you being generous. It's tough. Like I can't complain, right?
Yeah, it's tough because when you go to school like Harley, you know, some people see no other alternative other than you go to college and you get that, you know,
job.
Exactly, yeah. So when I left my spring semester, I remember this Skype call with our dad was just he was like, "I'm not your father. Your life is half over."
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so it was like it was crazy.
I'm so sorry.
No, you're good, but it was because there was a lot of miscommunication too.
Sure,
and I didn't have the courage I didn't have the trust in my parents to tell them like what was going on. I just like impulsively I decided, and like
they didn't have a story.
Yeah, so like I remember I was like calling my Eddie. I was like, I think I'm gonna take a break from school, but I wasn't like I'm gonna drop out. I was like, I think I'm gonna take a break, and then I ended up just dropping, which was and well, dude, it was very extreme, and so obviously, so the reaction was kind of
pull out. Yeah.
So my dad's reaction was warranted in a sense, but like we didn't have a foundation in our relationship where we could discuss these things.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like he didn't have the whole story.
Right, and he was refusing to, obviously he was refusing
and to. He wasn't being
acknowledge my story.
Right,
which Dad's never really had that, but it's tough too because like they're funding for education.
Exactly, that makes it really makes a lot more nuance.
Yeah, and then being like immigrant parents, education was their like way up and way out of their situation.
I mean, that's the same for even white people. It's still like if you don't get the education, like you're not gonna be be white anymore, as in middle class. You're gonna be white trash.
Yeah, I've never really I don't think I've ever really aligned or seen myself as aligned with the sort of expectations or the standards that were placed on me.
Sure. Yeah, I think we rarely external standards. How could they be something that are like perfect for us, right?
Well, for some of our classmates, some of our friends, they have worked out very well. But for me, it's like my interests just. Yeah,
so you're different. So what?
Yeah, I don't think I was ever in for a long time. I've always struggled with that, but I'm starting to obviously be more.
That's what I'm doing. That's the whole trans thing. Is like you're just doing it now.
Yeah, at some point you just gotta like embrace yourself and you gotta accept what you're doing and not beat yourself up so much.
Yeah, for real, dude. Amen. What's the point of we were saying with the anger,
and the judgment thing?
Hurting yourself, what's the point? It's just
I used to judge myself so hard when I would leave school. All this guilt and shame.
Yeah, I dropped out of school too when I left Sarah Lawrence. I felt horrible. I felt like such a
like a failure.
Failure.
But it's kind of ironic because I felt like a failure, but I never really wanted to do school in the first place. But the thing is, but then you think about, people are gonna judge me. Like they'll be like, are you a student? And you're like, no, I actually dropped out. They're like, oh.
Yeah, people are like that. Especially in those in the social circles of what families with the money to send their kids to Harley might be expected to say. Yeah, that is weird at first, but as we've gotten older, I've noticed people have become a lot more accepting. I think people I find myself around are a lot more open to you did something that isn't the 9 to 5. You're not doing that. You're not you don't have the degree and the wife and the car and everything already. So cool. So what are you doing? Oh, really? People it's not a value thing, and I think worthwhile people have worthwhile knowledge like that.
Yeah, I think worthwhile people, they'll be able to see past those sort of.
That's what I'm saying. They don't have they have worthwhile knowledge that what I'm calling
more than that.
Life is everything. Life is infinite. So what? Yeah, it's cool to have the job and have the comfort. That would be sick. I'm trying to get that again. But I'm in school, but even then, I'm not going for a business degree.
Well, I also know people who live comfortable lives who obviously
some people can swing all of it. Some people can do all of it. Some people are insane.
No, I agree. Some people are very accomplished, but I don't think everybody really has it all.
And I don't think we should be expected to be or judged to be who we are. Yeah. Expected to be something else and judged for what is here. I think that's just counterproductive. The whole idea of this is just a related thought. It's a bit of a tangent for me. Is with reparations, racial justice, class justice, or excuse me, justice for women, the really big, the widest scope social issues we have that I know of. Well, and then there's capitalism just as a thing. But anyway, why if we embraced all those and opened up to human variety and opened up to supporting people in the way we need instead of just whipping go and be a cog in the machine that we need for this thing called society that we you should like it too, bitch. Yeah, right. So I think the world would be such a much better place if we could all just if we were all empowered to do what we were here to do rather than being channeled into the rat race and having to figure it out ourselves. So that because
it's messy.
Yeah, it's so messy and so many people don't get anywhere, go to nowhere.
What's this is also again we talked about idealism earlier, but what's an ideal like how are you now? Like, are you living an ideal life for yourself? Do you feel like you're in a good place, or what does an ideal life look like for you?
I wouldn't call myself an ideal life only because of what I was talking about with loving, like being really loving. For a like month and a half, I was like I was always doing my, or like, 40% of the time, but it's a lot better than like 10% of the time. Like 5% of the time is how I feel right now. But like really engaging and trying, like letting go of whatever I'm feeling and just opening up to love. Like being like loving, like, not in a like sexual way at all. Like, I love you, man. Like, we're chilling out, we're right here, and like I've got no time for anything but you. Cause I am here and I'm fully here. Like, just trying to embody that. And that felt so much more invigorating and also exhausting sometimes and empowering than like any other way of being that I've lived in my life. Like, just when you, from quotes and snippets I've heard from like people who actually do their research, like my professors, like it's that you, or like Ram Dass again, when you, like Ram Dass, a song I like that has words from him in it. He describes the path of the heart as going from loving to being love.
Yep.
So like, instead of just being loving and being like, oh, like, you're so great, like being the hand of God that reaches out, is like, hey, like take this hand and we will go forward together, brother, sister, whatever you are.
No, I think I understand. What do you think what does the role of friendship play for you in your life?
It's important. It's really important. Without friendship, I would not be the human I am today.
You consider yourself a social guy, like you enjoy other people?
I do. I like. It's hard for me to do the like big scope social stuff because I'm like not great with crowds.
Yeah,
I can blend into crowds and lurk, but I like. But I like am not like gonna be the guy like on the soapbox, like everyone listen to me. But like I'm good at like one-on-one or small groups. And actually, so Graham Martinson, my friend,
he's local, right?
Yeah, he's local. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
You should meet
him. Sorry, he's a good man. He's
reconnect. He was really into, because he went to Allegheny. I think he majored in like some political thing.
Yep. Yeah. Grad school was like all political. His emphasis, I forget what the degree was, but the emphasis was modern civil wars, as in the Middle East. Yeah. Really interesting stuff. When I first like got back in contact with him, when we both moved back here, like around, I think he moved back here like early COVID and I moved back like late COVID. Maybe he came back a little earlier. Anyway, yeah, I think he might have been here during COVID. But anyway, so like beginning of COVID rather than early post COVID, and I was like late 20, so like, sort of post COVID, but there were no shots yet. Anyway, like when we that spring of 21, we I think started reconnecting, and and he was like inviting me to volunteer and like just do the stuff he does, which is volunteer and like chill out and like he does the 490 farm, which is this might have not been even what he was doing at the time, but right now he does the 490 farm, which is a block of like a few rows, like a decent amount of some arable land right next to 490 that they grow stuff on.
Is that the one next to Swillburger?
Yeah, right near there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. There's a community garden.
He's on the board there.
Right,
he's on the board for 490.
Community garden thing.
Garden, yeah. Yeah, and so, but he also was just getting me into this organization, Food Not Bombs, which is essentially just like give food to people who need food, targeting homeless people, but anyone. And not targeting homeless, targeting people who need food. Like it's my understanding. I don't know what their official stuff is, but the way we do it here is like, if you want food, we have food. Here's some food. Like, and I had this dream of like waking up like I had shell shock in this trench, to Grant, like jostling my shoulder, and like and he had like a gun. We were in a war zone. It was like things were happening, and I was just like. So he was like bringing me out of like the shock from like the horrible shit I'd gotten from the world, like coming off of all this stuff with this young woman a couple years before, which I'd still not moved on from, because it was just tough and like not moved on from, but like was still affecting me and like affecting me. Yeah, it's just like
it affects your whole romantic outlook.
It's strong trauma, real trauma. So he was kind of waking me up from that, like, hey, like we're here to do something. Is how the dream felt like. And I told him about it, and he thinks it's a super cool dream.
It sounds like a super cool dream.
Yeah, dreams are really interesting. I have some interesting dreams occasionally. Like over last summer, like as almost a precursor to this trans stuff, was that it was a weird dream. So I was a woman, and it wasn't like weird. It was like, oh, I'm a woman. Like, whoa. It's just like, so I'm a woman. Like, I'm in bed with a man. Like, nothing's happening, but like we're in this situation, and I give him like a potion. Like we think it's gonna spice things up, and like and he drinks it, and he turns into a werewolf and jumps out the window, leaving a hole. And I'm just like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And so like, dream skip, time skip to the next day. And I see him in like the market, like it's kind of medieval, so it's like just this open air market.
Wow, I'm
scared. He's like in this weird robe and has like.
Who is this guy? Because you've seen this guy before in real life.
No, I don't know. No face. No face.
Oh, there's no face.
No face. Maybe a white dude. It was so like let me tell you what happens is that so I see him and I just like some of me had hesitance, but like the character, the role I was in didn't, and like she just knocked this guy over, like sprouted angel wings and put this huge spear at his neck. It was like I forget exactly what she said, but I remember she said, "I'm in control now," and like, so the feminine part of me was like knocking over the masculine part of me and be like, "You've done this wrong. Like this is not what we're here to do. I'm doing it now," and it's better this way. Yeah, I like it.
It seems like
it was just a dream.
Seems like those two dreams were still very important in terms of your realization. But in terms of your realization of the the feminine kind of you identifying more with the feminine or whatnot.
Yeah, I have a more feminine, as in I kind of think of it as soft and like forgive it, like forgiving as in like when like somebody imposes on me, I would like recede and give them space forgiving. Like it is forgiving. Forgiving is forgiving.
Jim Carrey did this thing, deep depressed, deep rest.
Oh, dude.
All right, so I got a couple more questions.
Yeah.
And then, what's it like? This is a kind of a tangent. So, what's it like working at Bruegger's? How long have you been at Bruegger's?
Bagels. Coming on 3 years this May.
So, what's it like working in customer service / food service? Because I haven't worked at Bruegger's, but I used to work at Wegmans in food service, customer service, similar-ish field. What's it like for somebody like you, who I imagine that work can be, I don't know, maybe
someone
I'm wrong.
Who thinks about a lot of deep shit.
Because there's just so much stuff in
by fast food people.
Huh?
Someone who thinks
about. Well, I'm not saying fast. No. I didn't mean to like imply that.
So like they are fast food people are fat. Like we are a certain type of person who is working at Bruegger's for like 3 years. There's a few of us.
Are you able to relate to your coworkers and perform? Like, are you friends? Do you hang out with anybody outside of work?
I've hung out with a couple outside of work. I lost a relationship when I became trans, which was weird because like he's a really good guy, but like when I told him I was trans, he just never replied to me again. Yeah, weird. But I knew he listened to like some conservative stuff, but it always seemed tame. But like maybe it was like some of that like out there stuff that's like just nonsense. I don't want to incriminate him with that, but that was weird. But another one I've hung out with once, and she's chilling, but like she's very private, so like not much room for a person that she didn't go to school with is the main thing. Didn't go to school with, isn't a woman, is trying to do something beyond. I don't want to judge her, but she's just like, she's literally just not like doing much with her life. So I just am like, and I'm trying to do school, so we're just not always on the same channel. But she enjoys the deep, crazy things I come up with, and like sometimes has like things that she can actually get it, and like then we can talk about it a little bit. And that's fun. And then we both just like SpongeBob a lot, so like it's chilling.
So I know obviously you work the job to pay some expenses, but what are the positive and negatives of it? Like on a
positive
scale,
is like
is it a job you tolerate, or is it a job you actually like? Hey, I kind of like it sometimes, or you don't dread?
A little like up and down, but like right now it's like more on the slightly up. Like it's chilling. Like I come in, like I'm not a manager, so I don't have responsibility. I just come in and make food and like do customer service, which just comes now. I love pleasing people, but like I also love doing my best job. So customer service, pleasing people is part of like the game. So I'll just do it. They tip us, so like then I have justification to do it instead of just be angry all the time like most people in fast food, which is not what I've learned.
Oh yeah, I guess Brewers is fast food.
Yeah, and I've worked at other places that are also chilling, but like those had like more strong community vibes usually. This place is like a decent little close knit community, mostly young women. So like I'm in and out of the social scene there. Like,
right.
I have the people that know me like me, but then like the young girls are kind of just like, oh, like what's this weird trans person like wearing mascara, like doing like being like 5 inches taller than me. I was like, well, let me tell you, honey.
So is it sort of just a job that is it just a job like you don't see yourself? It's kind of a
it's not. It's a dead end
you
job.
Don't see yourself.
I'm not gonna like be a middle management person.
Yeah.
I would rather go to a monastery and like meditate for like 3 years and like hate the whole thing than like be a middle management person and only realize that I hated it when I die.
So when you do finish, or I guess you were planning to finish when you I guess are done with the religious studies degree.
Whenever it happens.
Or whenever, yeah, or maybe who knows, life will throw a detour at you.
Yeah, it likes to, but I'm gonna try with this one. Oh,
You just want the paper? Will you be interested in pursuing like graduate school? You think, or
I would like to
PhD?
PhD, the real research and like getting nitty gritty is like tough for me. It's tough for me to fully marshal myself mentally for all of that.
I have a PhD friends. It's just 6 years. Just
it's
specialize.
So much power under the hood, like in your mind, like you can just go and go and go, which is like I want to sleep.
Do you see yourself in Rochester? Like, is this a place that you could see yourself?
I like Rochester. My classic argument is with climate change, all the fresh water from the Great Lakes makes Rochester a great place to be.
Somebody said that, my boss at my other job said that Rochester. The access
Rochester's actually like a decent place to like live for the long term. Yeah. So like we'll see. I'll try to stay around. This is my home, so like why not like at least try to be here for it.
Are you in the city?
No, I'm out by the Parrington Wegmans. Parrington.
Well, oh yeah, you're at Parrington Manor.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we talked about this because I used to know somebody who lived there.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that reaction.
Okay, final question. What's a challenge you're going through right now? What's the biggest challenge you think you're going through right now? Is like life's pretty good, life's okay,
I'm working with challenge.
The biggest one.
Yeah, I'm trying to like condense it into words instead of just be like instead of like, oh my god, I'm drowning.
Are you drowning? Figuratively?
No, almost. But
every day, existential crisis every day.
Yeah, I was.
Who am I?
I was earlier in the semester with the trans stuff and 4 upper division courses which I shouldn't have taken 4 of, which I'm actually trying to get an incomplete on one right now because I do not want to deal with it. It's just too much. Like it's so much reading and reflection and writing that I want to actually do and learn from. And if I don't do it the way I want to, then it's just bullshitting and like, oh, like here's the answer. Like here I'm gonna type this bullshit out. And like, oh, here's a quote that's half a page, so I don't have to write any more bullshit. We're all happy. Like, or I can like take extra time and like actually do the reading, like reflect on it, do a little bit of research, like. And then like have like something that I can. So I'm getting an incomplete on one of them, but I am skimming by on all my other classes just because it's embarrassing because I really do value my academics and learning. I'm just with the trans stuff, and with that I mentioned drugs. I'm balancing not a really strong marijuana addiction, not a big one at all compared to like many people I know. I'm not a stoner anymore. But I have a history of having used more when I was a kid, so now that I'm using it occasionally keeps becoming less occasionally. So then it's just like, okay, like now this is something I have to balance. This is an addiction. Okay, this is fucking wonderful. I did this to myself. I'm so proud. But so I'm working with challenge and like trying to accept myself, and that's part of the loving thing too, is that like it's hard for me to love because I'm getting in the way of my own love with addiction and like with derivative thing, like with eating too much, like based on that, and then going to the gym to deal with that, and then like trying to meditate, and then having no time for school. Yeah. So I'm just trying to like relearn a balance that can be a good foundation for me to love myself and thus everything else from. If I can do it.
Well said.
Amen,
Cool,
brother.
Dude, thanks.
Thank you.
Man, your mind is you got an interesting mind up there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's
cool.
fun.
It's nice to be able to have actually a real conversation with you because, again, like we never really had a real